Hi, I'm back. I'm Jill with Copycat Crafts by Jill, and I hope to have pretty much fun today. However, before we get started with that, I did receive a couple questions, and I just thought I'd answer them on the video so that if anyone else was wondering the same questions, I didn't have to keep trying to write each person separately. The first question I got was, when you print out digitals, how long do they stay nice looking? Is that digital papers, are they going to last 5 or more years and still look good? My answer to that is number one, I guess it depends how you store them. Obviously, if you store them out on a table in bright sunlight all day, most days, like furniture and curtains, they are going to fade. But any of the journals I have that are around 5 years old still look great. And what I personally do is a little tip I learned from, I believe it was Corey Dahman on her channel, using up scraps or playing with scraps or something with scraps. Sorry, Corey. But anyway, I iron my papers. So after I print a digital kit, I let them sit usually at least 24 hours, just because till I get around to ironing them. It's the next day. I usually print late at night. And then the next day I'll iron. So it could be 12 hours, it could be 24 or more. I also have my printer set where I am not on ink saving mode, so I'm printing full color, and I want complete saturation of those colors. So I print full saturation, let them dry, let's just say 24 hours. Then I heat set with an iron. That's what I've done since I seen Corey's video on heat setting. And for me, it was easy because I used to coffee stain and tea stain loads of papers. And after they were totally dry, I would still iron them for two reasons: get them a little bit flatter, and to heat set the stain. So it wasn't a very large jump to just throw all the digitals I printed out and iron them as well. Just takes a couple seconds per page. So I iron them. But another way is by using a sealer. I'll hold it still. I always get the matte so that it's not shiny. And this comes in handy because after the journal is made, if you just take out whatever you have that's removable on the cover, you can still seal it on the cover. And when that's dry, seal the back, take out any journaling cards or tags or anything like that. And you don't need a heavy coat. A light spray of this clear acrylic sealer in matte, and let it air dry. I used to use this all the time, but it is something you have to spray outside or like in your garage in a well ventilated area. It does have a very strong smell. It is flammable. Um, and living in a very humid environment like I do, it can tend to take a little longer to dry. Uh, I was also worried about any lingering smell from the spray. It eventually goes away completely, but uh, you know, if I'm selling one, I don't want to offend someone by having them open up their package and having it have an odor. But if I if you do it early enough and let it sit long enough, it doesn't have an odor. So, I mean, it's really not a concern. But for me, I guess ironing is easier, and then just treating the cover. You can treat every page if you want, but you know, they're inside. I don't see where they're going to get uh, too much sun or anything like that. So anyway, those are the two forms I know of. If anyone else knows of any other way, please put it in the comments so you can share information and maybe any tips or hacks. Um, who knows? I may swap out my ironing. The other question I had was, where did I get the large or number stamps, rather? Sorry, the number stamps. Well, I guess that would depend which ones we're speaking of. If it's numbers like this, I got those from this. Excuse the packaging. It's just this is brand new and I haven't had it out. It's Tim Holtz Ideology Remnant Rubs, and right there it is. I buy a bunch of these because this is the cheapest ones on Amazon. If I can find it, I will link it in the description below. That's one way. Another way, which I did not use in this particular folio yet, is these type of numbers. These I got, they were free at the time when I got them. 2 different sizes, or I may have changed the sizes, not sure. From Vibe of Vintage. If you go to her Ko-fi or coffee, I believe this was a free sheet of these that you can have printed and then cut out on your Cricut or some sort of cutting machine like that. I don't have these in a die, but I will link Vibe of Vintage, and I will link a die set for numbers. I will link from Amazon, but keep in mind, whatever I link from Amazon in the die cuttings, I don't have, because I use Vibe of Vintage, and I believe, again, this was a free one from her coffee. What I do have, which are my stamps, my number stamps. And again, I did not use this in here, but these are my number stamps. So here they are. As you can see, I have used them quite a bit. But they are quite large. I think they're like 1.5 inches or an inch, and they're pretty large. That's what they look like stamped. See, am I getting too much? That's what they look like. I use these quite a bit, but I haven't used them in here. This, again, is from Vibe of Vintage. It is her washi tape digital kit. So I printed them on plain paper, and I just have that glued. You cut it out in strips, and I have it just glued down. I also printed these, the same digital kit, on like a see-through, and that's also from her kit. So is that, but again, that's on paper, and I changed the sizes, so these were printed out on a smaller size. But again, these were from Vibe of Vintage, a digital kit. So if you don't have a printer, this one doesn't do you any good. You would need the stamps, or you would need the die. If you have a die cutting machine, you need the dies. Let's see what else. I think that was it. As I wrote in many of the comments, I haven't had my electric for too many hours in a row. It keeps coming on and off. So I'm not going to make a real long video. Actually, I'm going to make a pretty short video today because I don't want to lose my electric in the middle of everything. So while I have electric, I'm just going to get started. And that would be on this. Now, I just wanted to show that I bought the pack from the Dollar Tree. At the time, it was 5 for $1.25. I do use them a lot, so this would be my last one. I pulled it out because I already scored this one, but I just wanted to go through the process. This is the stamp set, or stamp I plan to use all over, so that anything peeking out will have a crackly paint look. But I came across a smaller one and thought it's actually cute to do a smaller one. Of course, the measurements would all be different, but the reason why is because a couple of these really cool papers are much smaller and would do better, or not better, but you know, just fit cute on a smaller envelope that was still full of it, a mini folio. So I just pulled that out to remind that you don't need the big ones. You can actually do a small one, and the same kit actually would fit in quite well. But we are using the larger ones. You will need a scoreboard, and the measurements that I give you for these envelopes are not going to be to the exact hair, partially because, when I made this one, I did not glue inside the two sides together. And that created a little bit of a problem for me, because when I stick these in, they want to pass the score lines. And then when I try to fold it, it hinders the folding. So I have to try and keep them out. On this one, we're going to glue, but I also wanted to give it a little bit more space. So I moved the first score line over by 1 tick score line. So we have that. And let me get the thing so I can, my score thing. Okay, I believe when I did mine, okay, I have to go backwards because mine starts at 12, 11, 10, and I always, for whatever reason, I always go backwards, which means I have to count everything. So I lined up the bottom of the envelope with the edge of my scoreboard, and that gives me, I believe, on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. On 4, I make the score. I turn it around, you can see my score marks because, yes, I darkened them. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. So at 4 inches, you want to make your first score mark. Then you want to do another score mark every tick for up to 6. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 score lines 4 inches, your first score, and then continue on until you have 6. You can do 5 if you want. You don't have to do 6 because I did. Then I guess if you wanted, you could just count over, but I flipped mine around because I'm right-handed. I just flipped it, found it easier. And so we know that's 4. So at 4 1/4, I did a score mark, and then I did 5 in a row. So every tick mark is another score, and you should have 5 on this side. So 6 on this side, 5 on this side, and this is the side with the opening. So 5 on this side. You can make as many score marks as you want. I do not fold on every score mark. I just kind of fold on the, I'll turn around again. I fold it on the first and the last of the score marks. All the ones in between are just to give it that round edge. It's just to make so that it kind of gives it a little bit of a domed edge. And I like that. I just like that. So I always put in a couple scores, and I don't fold them. I only fold the first and the last, and the first and the last. So I ink them. I ink the whole folder. So just to make sure we're all on the same page, you put the opening to your right, put the bottom, and come in to 4 inches. You come in 4 inches. So on my scoreboard, I come in 4 inches. That puts me at the 8. And you make your first score. I always score 2 or 3 times. Then you follow every tick for 6. There we have it. Okay, so here's what we just did. Now you want to flip this around. So now your opening is at the beginning, just like this one. And you want to go at 4 1/4. So we will line it up. Here's 4, here's the quarter. And we want to score. This time we want to do 5 scores. That's 3. Got shifted there a little bit. All right, let me line myself up because I shifted. Remark that one's a little off. So, and then there we go. 5. I always forget to keep my pages up, but you do good. Okay, so now we have the one that I already started and already inked on the edges, or just the score marks. So now we can be done with this. Put that away. Now, it doesn't matter in what order or what ink you prefer. I like ground espresso. However, if you watched a couple videos ago, you will you will already know that I ruined my ground espresso by I bought ground espresso refill ink. Somehow you put coffee on it instead of the ground espresso. Used coffee ink. But then I realized that I used the coffee and I thought, oh no, and I somehow grabbed the walnut stain and put some of that on there, and then, but so it's not a true ground espresso, but whatever. I'm still going to use it because there's enough ink on there to make me mad if I don't. So we're going to use it, and I'll erase my little tick marks here if I can. Whoop. Okay, look at my big fat pencil. I lose it less, and it's easier for me to hold with my arthritis. Okay, so now you just want to ink around all the edges, and it doesn't have to be super neat because the papers will come really close to the edge. So if you want to just do that, you can do that. I actually have the sponge one on my dauber, and I really like the felt furniture floor protectors the best out of all of it. If you get the right ones, they almost don't wear out, and that's what I like. But oh, I already did it on this one, but I better remind everyone. Sometimes when you get these, especially from the Dollar Tree, the flaps here and there are a little loose. Always glue those down. Check all the seams. Put a little extra glue in there. I already did it with this one. That way they hold tight. And I've already have made something with these and actually taken this apart so I could glue or change something, but for the sake of quickness, we won't be doing that. We're just gonna do this. Again, all this will get inked over when we use our stamp, our crackle stamp. The other stamp I also thought, where is that? Don't know where. Oh, right there it is. Was this one. This is the stamp I used on the folio here. But so I didn't want to use the same exact stamp. But you can really use any stamp because so much of it gets covered you can't really tell. But I like knowing it's there, so. All right. Remember, we have to do, I can actually do that because this will get covered. So. Okay, that's pretty good. And we do have to do both front or inside and outside. So let's just finish that up. So thank goodness I'm not made of sugar, because with all the rain we've been getting, I'd be melted by now. But nope. Nope. We're all doing good. Just wet. We're all, I think, tired of being wet. And little interesting fact, today, Friday, marks the 2-year anniversary of Florida's last huge hurricane, which was Hurricane Ian, that at least affected my area. Way worse than this one. 2 years ago, that one was devastating to us here. But so this one was, for us, this one was no big deal. My heart does go out to the people it is affecting. Lived through it 2 years ago, and it breaks my heart to think what people are suffering and going through right now. Okay, there we have it. That part is done. Now you can use the same ink to stamp, or you can try and use a different color. I think I am going to go with my coffee. So let's get my crackle one. Let's put these away. Okay. Now, I don't have a block big, as bigger than this or as big as this. So I just press it and press it, because it really just has to be go in the same direction, Jill. Go in the same direction. So yeah, these are the important areas, because that's really the place you're going to see. The most of. I don't think this doesn't have that upside down or anything. Hope, because don't have to be too fancy pants with it, because most of it will get covered, but I like knowing there's something there in case anything's peeking through. You don't even have to do this step if it doesn't bother you just having the yellow. For me, I think it's a little too yellow. Okay, flip it over and repeat. I ended up, when I first got this stamp, not really liking it, and then it was Margaret from Seven Plaza who I don't know what stamp she was using, but it was kind of one that, again, like this, I wouldn't have went out and bought it and paid full price for it. But she used whatever stamp she had. And it was like, gee, it came out so cool that I went and grabbed this stamp and did the same thing. And since then, I ended up falling in love with this stamp. And I use this one for this purpose a lot because I really actually ended up liking it. So thank you, Margaret. Okay, almost done. If I do this while I'm filming, it gives you a chance also to craft right along with me, or you can fast forward if you were more interested in just the info. There we go. There it is. I think I'm done. Okay. And we now have the base. So now, just going to fold it on in the first score. And then the last score. Probably was supposed to score the opposite way with hills and valley thing, but there. Okay, then as we use this, it just sort of falls in line. No need to fuss with all those little score marks and try to fold on them. It just go. Sure. Okay, one more fold. Score marks in general can be a little fiddly, so we will fiddle. Let me move that out of the way. There we have it. This too will also round. A little bit of a head start. And there we have it, our base. Now this is where you can decide to glue or not to glue. If you're going to glue, I would glue this one. Now, I'm not going to glue that. It's really just this one because I use this as a pocket. If you're going to put your little windows in there, you would want to do your windows before you glue, because once you glue, it's harder to get your punch in there. For me, I have this punch. Let me see if I can dig it out. Kind of have it buried a little bit here. I found this one at Goodwill. It took me quite a while to figure out even what it was, how to use it. You open it. Oh, cat hair. So you open it, then get my finger out of the way. Slide it in. I guess I could have slided it before, but You slide it in, and now I have the punch. This is the one I used because I could slide it in. Now for me, I had no idea how far I could slide it in because I can't really, it's hard to see what it is you're doing, but to get it straight, which I didn't do with the first one, is you would want to mark it so that it's at least even. I did not do that with the first one. So let's just do it this way. Okay, so we know it's 9. As a matter of fact, let's mark it on this end. Okay, so we know it's 9. I'm going to mark it by the score marks. Well, a little bit in. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, I want 2 windows, so I already know the 4.5. 4.5 is 9, so my seam is right on the half, center, I should say. So, how big is that? Okay. Just wanted to get a basically a center in between my 4.5 and my 9. It doesn't have to be exactly center because I want to move it up a little bit from the edge, I think. So if I come in an inch and in an inch, gives me 2.5 inches. Do we think that's about right? Is that about 2.5 inches? Hold on. Is this about 2 inches or 2.5? So it's 1, 2. It's basically a 2-inch. Okay. All right. So if we come an inch up. Okay. So another quarter. Another quarter. So that leaves me with 1. I'm gonna go right here. 1, 2.5. Okay, so 1, 2.5. Those are the 2 marks I'm going to look for. Just want to 1, 2. Yep, 1, 2. Yep. Then I'm going to go this way, close to my mark. It's 2.5. So we want 1.25. 1.25. So that is center there. Same with over here. Where's my mark? Right there. So we want 1.25. Okay. Oh, it doesn't have to be super scientific, but that's the mark we are looking for. Okay, that's about as in as I can get my punch is there. I want to pull it out actually a little bit. Do I? No. Yeah. It's still, whoa, I hope I don't rip it. There we go. Because I can reinforce this edge which is what we will do. Because we have to. Now, I don't know what punch you may have. Go about there. Okay. There we go. It's actually a little bit more even than my last one. Then we still didn't glue this down here yet, and that's fine because we want to ink around here. So we're going to get our dark ink back, and paper will be put back here. So so if you get ink back there, it's not a big deal. And you don't have to put plastic on here. You could actually just glue a picture or whatever you want. You don't have to put acetate there if you don't want. Okay, how's that work? Pretty good. There's probably a million easier ways to do that, but that's okay. Do what works for us. All right. I think that looks pretty good. And there we have that. Now is when we're going to glue in here. It does not have to be a lot of glue. It just has to be enough to keep whatever as a pocket, whatever we shove in there, that it's not going to go past that first score line. So you don't really want the glue to be able to see it when you just open it, but to get it to where you need it, to get the glue where you need it, you will want to just open this and look for your first and second score line and put the glue right between the first and second score line. Now, and you don't have to get all the way to the corners. You can just do from about a ½ inch, even an inch away, just on that score, in between the two score lines. Oh, now I left glue get on there. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do. I mean, if you get glue back in here, that's fine too. That's nothing wrong with that. You just don't want the glue to come past your first score line. You're shooting for the first and second score line. Okay. And then don't push too hard at first. We don't want to mush the glue out. We just want it to so we'll just give that a second or two. Probably best if you do that. There we go. Bend it and push it. Now that is going to be glued. Okay. There we go. All right. Well, I'm going to call that the first one. We got the base done. So tomorrow or the next day, I will upload the next part where we will start on the inside. And maybe even if we do this part in here, then we'll put on the acetate, if we're going to put on acetate or vellum or whatever you choose, or even just a picture. Wouldn't have to put anything shiny there. Let me show you what I mean. I don't know if I have anything appropriate, because I wasn't really. But if you just glued something like that, it doesn't have to be see-through. You could cut that and glue that part in there. If I would have thought of that, I would have dug out something cool, because I know there's so many cool things in this kit. This is a little small, but something like that be glued in there. So it doesn't have to be something see-through. I still make, but I think that's a little small. But you get what I mean. You get it. Okay, there it is, your base. You can take it and run with it if you want, or you can wait, and in tomorrow or the next day, I will upload the continuation. So part 1, done. Okay, well, stay creative, and hugs.